God taught me through masturbation. Now, as big as that's going to sound and silly and gross to some people and offended as they will get no matter how much I try to apologize, this doesn't mean masturbation like quote-unquote stroking it or fingering yourself or anything like that at all. If you want to do that, that's fine. But here's what happened. I said in a meditation, God, what do I do in order to bring on that healing energy other than with my mind? How can I help explain it to other people, how they can bring that healing energy to their body without having too hard of a feeling to realize that this is how they would feel if they didn't have all that meat and that stuff in their body? What kind of sensation would give them that feeling without having to do all the fasting, so that way they can see how they will live their life at all times when they rid their bodies of meat and chemicals, including every bad person, every governmental person who's doing bad things, every person who's plotting against someone else, every person. How can I help those people feel the divine light without having to do the fasting and stuff first, so that way they'll see why they want to? And I just started breathing, and I heard very bright, loud sounds. If that makes any sense, there were loud, bright sounds. And I don't want to sound wild or weird, but this is what happened. I saw the sun, but it was like an inverted spiritual sun that wasn't visible. And without anything happening physically to my body, I was picked up spiritually. And when that happened, my body started moving. I was stood up, and the sun that I saw in my mind started vibrating, and I heard a very loud, bright sound. My body did whatever it wanted, and I was rubbing my chest, pounding my chest, and with my other hand, I was rubbing just my butthole and my butt cheeks and my lower part of my body, my legs and everywhere around there, including my testicles. And I went over the other, parts that are unspoken. And if I was a female, the same thing was happening, because it wasn't the fact of what the shapes were. It was the fact of loving myself and appreciating myself. And God, as this was happening, I saw the two things together vibrating. And I was still Dan now, thinking like, why did you stand me up to do this? This is embarrassing to myself. Like, I don't do this. I don't masturbate. I haven't masturbated in over 3 years. And like, it stood me up, and I was moving almost like God's puppet. And I saw the light, bright sound vibrating. And then my hands were all over my legs and all over my whatever. And then when I got to my balls, I felt personally silly about it to God. And it was like, just let go. And I let go. And like, I started squeezing my testicles really hard and really fast that I would never do. And I saw that bright light and that bright sound. And it like shedded into a moon and a sun. And I was like, am I supposed to come? Am I supposed to come? Is that what you want me to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? And all kinds of songs of all time were playing through my head. Like, oh, come, all ye faithful. And I was chanting, like breathing in really deep. And hallelujah. And I heard it translate into hall of one and hall of Wana, and then like Savannah, or hollow miracles and hollow Savannah and mirages, and then back to hallelujah, and then back to hallelujah. And I was just breathing, and that's what sounds were coming out of me, and my body was moving like a puppet, and I was seeing those things dividing into sun and moon, and I was saying hallelujah, and then I was saying Father, Mother, like as in, I'm like Father, Mother, like if the Father was the Halle and the Luya was like the invisible illusion, at that point it would be like the invisible whole, like Mother, and Hala, or as in hollering Father, like the invisible Father, like the Hala Father, and then Luya, like Mother, the illusion that Father came from, the sound, like the moon and the sun split, and it was like it turned from that into like a hollow mirror, and then it turned into like it came back to and I felt breathing, and I wasn't touching my balls anymore. Like I only did that for like what seemed like a second, but it was 2 eternities in one. And like the sun and the moon came from it, and this was all bright sound. So that bright sound was hallelujah, holler lucid, or holler, like, because like now sound is becoming lucid, like holler lucid basically, but holly, and I was trying to say like illusion as mother, but now it went over to Holy Father. And if you think about what a holy father would be, a father with a hole of a father, so then like my hand started like tapping on my butthole like a drum, and during that loud shaking sounds, like the sun and the moon, like the vibration of like me beating on my butt for like 2 seconds. It wasn't just my butthole, it was all over my butt, and it was all over my body and my back and my chest. I mean, I'm just saying that as I touched that certain spot, the center areas, like things divided, like my nuts, when I squeezed them and they divided, that's when the sun and the moon divided. And then when I started pounding on my thing, and the vibration of what I saw as sound, sort of like an Indian powwow drum, because then I was there too, and like, it was holy illusion turned into the Holy Father, and then I saw the sun and the moon separate, and all little like echoes and shatters of them broke off into the planets. So that was one way that God created the world, by having loving, peaceful, blissful, invisible sex with himself. Like every person takes themselves to heaven when you're pleasing yourself. And it sounds funny to say that, but everyone knows that's true. They're just too embarrassed to say it out loud. Like, and then I was like, during that, I didn't even realize that I went from standing up and touching myself to I was on my hands and knees, like praising the ground, like with my head down on the floor, rocking back and forth, and like I was still doing the drum thing on my lower stomach in that area, and then like my other hand was around, like touching my butt, and I felt like I was myself as God, like playing with myself, like as I was getting like I was getting doggy style and playing with God's invisible everything. There was nothing there. I was invisible. All of this was invisible. But my body is like reacting in ways where I wasn't even masturbating. It was just showing me how it happened, if that makes any damn sense. I know it does, but it's like an earth-shaking whatever. So the whole explanation to the question was how I could get people to feel what it's going to feel like when they clean their bodies out, is that basically you walk and talk and act every moment like you're in the middle of an orgasm, like literally, not just some words, literally. And you just feel that burning, loving fire, and you can use that fire. And that's when I said, do you want me to come or something? Am I supposed to come and eat my own cum now? Because you're making love to me as myself, with myself, as you, and I'm not even doing anything. And it was like an astral, divine, physical thing all at once. And it was like space, time, and air, and space, time, and just consciousness birthed. And it was like, it showed me that invisible side, but in concept. And then to say that what people can do is like, you can have sex with someone else, you can have sex with yourself, you can just be loving and feel that joy by doing anything, stretching your body and moving around in that kind of way too. But if you need to do things like rub your body and get yourself into a mood where you feel light and loved, that kind of feeling, then don't let the orgasm out. See the lights appear in your mind. See all these amazing things, and keep yourself in that feeling. Stop right at the top and just love the feeling. Love the feeling. And when it goes down, you don't have to keep on your sexual parts. You don't have to keep like pushing yourself, and you don't have to finger anything or anything like that. You just keep that feeling in your heart. And if you need to like just hug yourself or just rub your own head and face. It's not just, when I say masturbation, it's not like God was showing me to play with yourself. That's just childish. This was loving yourself from the inside out. And that's how we began. And if you can't understand that we came from an invisible to a physical, that's what we did. We loved ourselves so much we knew it inside and out soundly. And soundly is both physical and non-physical. And echoes are both non-physical and physical. And they start both times in the same way, every moment, with love and action. That's what that message was. And all I did was meditated. I don't even know if I stood up and moved, but I felt it all. And as soon as I said, what am I supposed to do? You want me to come? Do you want me to whatever? And like that noise started like sort of subsiding and subsiding and subsiding and subsiding and subsiding. And then if I'm supposed to eat it or like masturbate and explode right now, because I wasn't touching myself, but I could have easily just let go, and just whatever. I'm not trying to be gross. But instead I said, if that's what I'm supposed to do, give me one more sign. And it was like that noise was just like this music, just like sitar kind of sounding. And I'm sitting in the middle of a square house, a little square box with no sound, no music, no anything. And all this was happening. And it was like that steady sound. And I said, that's because I don't want to do that. I don't want to masturbate. I don't want to like have an orgasm, And then it was like, that's not the answer. And I was like, so then what do? I just let the feeling stay in me without touching or thinking or having to have any of this happen? And then it started like sort of changing a little bit, sort of like to a yes kind of thing. The sound was more pleasant. And then I was like, so then I just keep this feeling inside and move it around my body. And it was like, right. And then I was just sitting here. I'm like, oh my God. And it was like, yeah. And like the whole time when I was saying, hallelujah, I wasn't doing it on purpose. That wasn't me. That wasn't Dan. That wasn't anything. It was love loving itself. It was God loving me as a human. It was me thinking of everyone in the world of how much I love them. It was all of it. It was creation.